I'm Bob Berkowitz, and this is Real Personal. We're talking to Dr. Warren Farrell, and his book is called The Myth of Male Power. We were just talking about male violence before we took a break for commercials, and you were saying that men are far more likely to be violent against other men.
Yes.
But again, that bespeaks of the kind of violent nature we have. That's what a lot of women say.
Precisely, and that's accurate. That part is accurate. But because we're training men every day to be violent. We train men to play football. What we do is we train them to cut off their feelings. We tell men, only men must register for the draft at the age of 18, not women. That's part of a whole psychological preparation to allow men to think of themselves as disposable. And so every day we are preparing men to do things like firefighters. All the most dangerous jobs are held by about 90 to 95% men. So we're preparing men to say, you men have to risk your life and in order to get love and in order to get respect. And so we're telling men, cut off your feelings in order to be willing to risk your life. That's the history of masculinity, is prepare yourself to cut off your feelings in order to be willing to risk your life to serve other people. That's the meaning of the word hero. A hero comes from the word siro, which meant servant or slave. A hero was a slave to the society. He wasn't somebody with power. He was a person expected to give his power over to serve the community.
Now let's grab some phone calls. Deb from Illinois, thanks for calling Real Personal. Hi, Deb.
Hi.
What's the question, Deb?
My question is this. What I would like to know, and I've been trying to follow the intellectual premise of his argument. I just can't do it. The question that keeps harking back to me is, if there's this myth of male power, why is it, as you mentioned before, do men hold all the positions of power in corporations and also in governments? We all know that that's the reality. And third, again, why do men make on the average more money than women? I mean, I cannot follow your premise here, and I really what I think is that you're just trying to take advantage of this whole notion that men, poor white men, are now the ultimate victims, which I just don't buy, and I don't think many other people buy it either.
All right, good questions, Deb.
You've asked three good questions, Deb. First of all, what I'm saying in the myth of male power is that we have to redefine power as the ability to control your own life. And I'm challenging men to say, men, if you are told that in order to get women's love and the respect of your parents and other men, you have to go out and earn more money than women because you feel like women will only marry you that they won't marry you, for example, if you're reading I'm okay, you're okay on the unemployment line. That men who don't make at least as much money as women do find themselves not being eligible. So men often feel we can't feel comfortable preparing ourselves to be an elementary school teacher. We have to become a principal and give up our contact with the kids. And when children come along, we say to ourselves, if we're married to a successful woman and we are a successful man, we often find the woman saying, well, now that children are here, I have three options. Option one is to be full-time involved with the children. Option two is to be full-time involved with my work. Option three is to do some combination of both. And we men say to ourselves, well, you know, I have three options too. Option one is work full-time. Option two is work full-time. Option three is work full-time. So what I'm saying, Deb, is that power is the ability to have control over your own life.
But also at the root of Deb's question, I think, is that there's still a lot of discrimination against women. That women who are trying to climb the corporate ladder, for example, or trying to get ahead in government service or serve in Congress or the Senate, are finding what they call the glass ceiling. Yes. They can go so far, but they can't go much beyond that.
And this, Deb, is something that when I was on the board of NOW, I very much believed. And as I looked more closely, I found a few other truths also. One is that since early 60s, when women have not had children and have been devoted to the workplace without having an interruption in the workplace, they have earned more in the workplace than men the same age. Not less, not the same, but more. Now you might say to yourself, well, a large number of women do have children and they care for their kids and they work in this area. Yes, but we cannot expect the workplace to pay for a woman being with her children at home. And so the discrimination between men and women and the amount of pay that men get versus women get is not really much a result of the workplace. It's much more a result of the different types of jobs that men and women select for and the different types of decisions they make once they have children. And that we need to rethink. And part of what I'm saying is very much supportive of that, Deb. I'm saying men need to be more with the children when the children come. Women need to be more in the workplace when the children come. And then there will be more evenness in the amount of income both sexes produce.
Paul from New York, thanks for calling Real Personal. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Bob. Great show.
Thank you.
I agree with the author. I think that the women truly do have all the power, particularly in the sexual arena, where for the detriment of men, women have the sexual veto power. And given the fact that most men have a higher sex drive than women, women typically use the veto power, refraining from sex when they want materialistic things from men.
Yes. I think the area of sexual power is definitely one where, because women have it, many women who are 15, 20 years of age, if they're an attractive woman, they'll pull into a gas station, and they'll pull into maybe, say, a self-serve station. And the gas station attendants will compete to make it a full-serve station. And so the woman doesn't realize that from her perspective, life looks like I'm paying self-serve prices and I'm getting full service. So she doesn't even realize that she has a type of power there
what about
that
the
no man
unattractive
has.
woman?
The unattractive woman has some difficulty. She's more like the man. She still has the power of being a female, and many men will be attracted to almost anything that walks in a skirt, so to speak. But on the other hand, she's not nearly as powerful as the attractive woman. But things begin to reverse as they get older. As long as we're addicting men to female beauty, females who are young will have an enormous amount of entitlement, but then as they get older, they lose that.
Feminists will say, or at least some feminists will say, is that we, men, created the beauty myth. We are the ones that put the beautiful woman up on a pedestal.
That's really bull, you know what, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that both sexes play every game together, and that's the mistake of the feminists. For the reason beauty occurred was that we got, in almost every culture, learned to addict its men to the young woman because that was the woman who had the most fertile years. It learned to addict the men to the beautiful woman because the beautiful woman is the one that had the best gene structure, the wider hips, the long nails represented healthy nails, and so on. The third thing we ended up doing is most every culture that survived addicted men to sex with women and then deprived men of sex with women until men signed a contract called marriage, usually, in which we guaranteed women economic security for the rest of their lives once we had sex with them. But the problem was that we paid a very high price for the sex that we were addicted to, ran after, and then we're deprived
addicted to sex?
Oh, well, yes, we're addicted to sex and we're addicted to beautiful women.
About 10 seconds.
And almost every man knows that. The most potent drug in the world is the beautiful woman. And that's, okay.
Okay, that's very provocative. No, we'll take a break here. I'm Bob Berkowitz. You're watching Real Personal here on CNBC. Stay with us.